So why France as opposed to any other country? When we got serious about the idea of moving a few years ago, we weren't going to have the choice of where to move, because I was applying to jobs in the United Nations with U.S. military at European military bases. And if I got a job, that was going to make the decision for me, obviously. By the way, I'm on a dog walk with Spiky. Hey, buddy. And I figured I'd try to use the time to do two things at once, not my forte. Anyway, as I was saying, when we started this journey, I was applying for jobs in Europe. That was going to make the decision where we ended up. Applied for jobs primarily in, well, Geneva, where the UN is located, Germany, where the American military bases are, one in Italy, and then a couple of other places, one in Jamaica, one in Kenya, UN base in Kenya, and also where NATO is located. Is in Brussels, Belgium. Just looked it up. I remember thinking how difficult it would be if we could move anywhere, and we had to make the choice. I tend to overanalyze and research even the smallest of shopping purchases. So choosing where to live, I thought would be very difficult. But it wasn't as difficult as I thought. Anyway, I thought sharing some of our decision-making process might be helpful or interesting to you. I'm not saying that our factors or determinations were correct, they're very personal to us, and they may not be something that's relevant to you. We've been here about 10 months, and so far, overall, we are very happy with our choice. Anyway, without further ado, let's start. But before we do, let's take a little scenery break. This is a regular stop on our morning dog walks. That's the Isère River. It is the Vercors mountain range in the background. And you can see in the distance the Andreas Church steeple. And that's the other side of the river. That's part of the Chartreuse. Working on my pronunciation. Mountain range. You can call this a dog walk talk, or in French, chien marche parler. And I guess I should mention we are in Grenoble, France. It's interesting because a lot of our friends assume that we're in Paris. That's just a natural American assumption. No, you move to France, you move to Paris. This region already had a bit of a leg up with us. My mother went to school in Geneva and spent a good part of her youth and early adulthood in and around the Alps, both in Switzerland and in Bavaria, in Munich. So when I was thinking I was going to get a job with the UN as an attorney in Geneva, I did a lot of research about the area, a lot of YouTube viewing. Please excuse the heavy breathing, just finished doing a little jogging. Anyway, because we have kids with boys ages 12 and 15, 11 and 14 when we arrived, they were the most critical consideration in our choice of location. We're not looking to move to a third world tropical paradise with low costs and high inequality. We wanted our children to have maximum opportunities in their future. Got a little view break. See if I can get this around the bars. Maybe zoom in a little. That's the snow in the background. And that tower there marks the sort of the central park of Grenoble, called Park Mistral. And of course the star of the show, what the walk's all about. I forgot to mention, maybe I didn't need to, but my applications, job applications did not bear fruit. And it suddenly occurred to me that I went to the office every day and basically stayed in the office and worked on the computer, and that I could do that from anywhere. So that's when I was confronted with the choice of where would we want to live. A lot of places were interesting. We liked Canada, we liked the UK, we liked New Zealand and Australia, and of course many places in Europe. Years prior, I had been able to obtain both UK citizenship and Polish citizenship through my father's citizenship. So that helped pull us in the direction of Europe. Some prerequisites for us were equality, universal health care, less expensive university education, and sane gun laws. Liking being a little over-curious and sniffing every passerby. But let's move on to some categories of reasons. And let's start with geography. One of the considerations that I was concerned about was moving from San Diego, and we would be obviously moving to much further north latitude, how much of a change in weather we could handle. We had heard and read so many wonderful things about Scandinavian countries, but I was concerned that we might not be able to handle the long winters and lack of sun there, particularly my family. I think I can handle it probably better than other members of my family. I'm very concerned right now about the stoppage. Anyway, they had all lived in California, Southern California, their entire lives. I'd had at least a little bit of experience in more northern climates. So Grenoble, France, despite being near the Alps, is in southern France, southeastern France. It's at about the same latitude as Portland, Oregon. It's actually further south than a lot of northern Italy. In contrast, places in the UK and Scandinavia are 10 to 15 degrees further, latitude degrees further north. Okay, same day, different dog walk. It's night time now. The ice bike. A curfew going on in France, so the streets are pretty empty. Coronavirus numbers are down, and they are loosening up the restrictions. Anyway, another thing that was a favorable factor for us is centrality. We wanted some geographic centrality in Europe so that we could easily travel to other European countries and really take in the culture and the differences. Wow, look at the Palais de Paris. No, Palais de Parlement. All lit up. That's the Andreas Church in the background in the dark. I don't know if you can see that. Another thing is that we are a skiing family. When we lived in San Diego, we went skiing almost every weekend up at the Big Bear area, and tried to get to Mammoth at least once a season. So being close to skiing was definitely a plus. And of course, The Alps made it a double plus. It's the next morning now, and in case you were wondering why I was out last night after curfew, there's many exceptions to the curfew, one of them being walking your dog. Right, Spiky? Huh? Here's the Andreas Church that I tried to show you last night. Now you can see it better. Dates back to the 12th century. That is a monument to a famous knight by the name of Bayard. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. Another major category of reasons was language. And we wanted a language that would be useful to our children to learn, useful in their future. So French ranked really high in that regard. It's an international language. It's a language that is used in many of the international organizations, including NATO, most of the big nonprofits around Geneva, including the United Nations. And it's a language that's used in different regions of the world. Same is true of Spanish. Of course, English is the biggest. Basically all the 18th and 19th century colonial powers. On the other hand, German was the first language I learned. There's something like 90 million German speakers, and I felt that I could probably unlock. I'd forgotten German, spoke it as a very young child. I thought I could probably unlock it from the recesses of my brain and then sort of help lead the effort in our family to learn the new language. So for a while, Bavaria, Germany took the lead, but we couldn't find we want to send our children to an international school. We couldn't find an affordable international school in Germany. And Munich, which we had some roots in, where I spent the first 5 years of my life, and my brother and sister were born in Munich. It was a very expensive city. Housing costs in particular in Munich are very high. So that brings me into schools. We favored sending our children to an international school to ease their transition. France has public international schools. Just about every major city. They're very highly regarded. I visited two of these schools, one in Grenoble and one in Lyon, and ultimately decided the one in Grenoble would be best for our children. Not only that, the one in Grenoble had a program called the American School of Grenoble. It's actually a school within a school. It's in the international school. It's a private program, but quite affordable. I thought the American school would be the best option for our 15-year-old. Not see a program like that in any of the other international schools.
Relatedly, we found a school in Innsbruck, Austria that was also an international public school, but by that time we had pretty much committed to Grenoble, France.
One more thing I almost forgot that was an important factor to us was to be in a country with ethnic and racial diversity. As a racially mixed family, it was important to us that not only do we live in a country or move to a country that is racially progressive and non-discriminatory, but one in which our kids saw themselves in the fabric of the country, particularly as insecure as children can be. It was important to us that they not only feel accepted, but that they feel normal. Interestingly, France does not keep racial statistics, so it's kind of hard to get real data about the racial makeup of the country. It's in keeping with their belief in a colorblind society. Nevertheless, In my experience traveling, France always seemed to be more racially and ethnically mixed than other European countries. And it's not that they were just more people of different races here, but they've been here for a longer period of time. So the country is, its racial diversity and ethnic diversity is matured. Grenoble, where we live, is racially and ethnically diverse. There's a large North African population. There's a large sub-Saharan African immigrant population. They've also got some Asian friends here. So our children don't feel the least bit odd based on their looks. About the only thing unique about them in school is their U.S. cultural identity, and that they're quite proud of. In fact, I think it makes them a little bit popular. So to wrap it up, I know a lot of those things I talked about are personal to us, but I've found that sometimes another person's experience helps raise issues and give me ideas. So hopefully this has done the same for you, and feel free to follow up with any other questions you might have in the comments, and ciao for now.